Hi everyone, Jacqueline here. Today I am going to show you how I perform deadlifts and the cues that I use with my clients when they're learning how to perform a deadlift. So deadlifts are super important because they work your entire body in the posterior chain. In a stiff-legged deadlift and in a bent-legged deadlift, it'll also work your quads. There's a few pointers I'm going to give that'll make your deadlift successful and hopefully injury-free. If you have back issues already, I recommend you stick with a bent leg deadlift, and if you have really tight hamstrings, a stiff-legged deadlift is going to be really difficult for you to get the full range of motion. So you could try both, but I think you'll find that you'll get more out of it for your upper back, your mid back, your lower back muscles, your glutes, when you perform the bent-legged version. So it's your choice which one you want to use. I have with me a dowling. So it's not a dowling, it's actually the end of a broom, handle of the broom. And it is a great trick to teach you how to properly deadlift in a stiff-legged deadlift form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the broom and put it from my tailbone up my spine, hold the base, hold one end of the broom handle or dowling, anything straight that you've got that is long enough to hold both ends, and the other end I've got my hand, my other arm up. And to get that hip hinge technique that is so vital for deadlifts, proper form for deadlifts, and many other things in life, you should think about the hip hinge, because common mistake, and I'll show you what the mistake is first, it's just, not a mistake, it's just not knowing proper form and technique. So what a lot of people will do, and you can see how my dowling does not stay in place on my spine and I'm not hip hinging, is they'll go to do a deadlift and they will not hip hinge and round out their lower back and put all the pressure on the compressed discs on the anterior side of the spine. So proper technique would be that you keep that dowling on the back of your head all the way down your spine. You hip hinge, so it's like somebody's pulling your hips towards the opposite wall behind you, and you keep in place, full range of motion, micro bend in the knee. You keep that dowling in place. So you're coming down, it's got my spine all the way down from my head, down my spine to my tailbone, and it's forcing me to do proper technique. So if you start to do this and then suddenly you're doing this and your lower back spinal column is not following along, then you're not ready to do a deadlift. And I recommend that you practice with a broom handle, anything straight, yardstick. I'm quite tall, so I had to go for the broom handle, but if you've got anything that is straight that you can place on the back of your head and work on that hip hinge, super important. The second really super important thing to remember is to keep the shoulder blades back and to wrap that core. So for me, wrapping that core tight and bracing your core is a very simple trick. So you take a deep breath in, you breathe out, you cough. Suddenly, whenever you cough, your entire core is braced. And I've used that tip with my clients for years. So this time I'm going to work with the weights. First of all, I'm going to bend to pick up the weights. And a traditional deadlift, called a deadlift, is because you're taking a heavy weight off the floor. So whether you're using a universal bar or free weights, I don't have a bar here, I have free weights, you're going to pick them up. Now remember that hip hinge, so anytime you squat, you should be doing that. Okay, so going to pick them up, bent legged, shoulders are back, my core is tight. I'm going to lift them up. So I'm going to hip hinge, my feet are firmly planted on the floor. And as I come back, my hands are going to stay close to my thighs, close to my shins, not out here. They're close to your legs. Shoulder blades stay back, the core is nice and tight. I can feel my glutes working, my hamstrings working. My range of motion is quite good. I'm going to come up, I'm going to squeeze the bum, reset the shoulder blades. Always squeeze the bum on your way up and fully extend your legs without hyperextending them. So there's a big difference. So let's do that again. We can do it together. Your shoulder blades stay back, your head is up nice and tall. You're bracing your core, cough, if you need to, if you can't do it without. And then you're going to come down, legs close, or your arms close to your legs. You're going to take to extension that you feel comfortable at, and you're going to come back up, squeeze the bum, reset your shoulder blades. Pushing into the floor as you come up. So imagine you're pushing your feet into the floor, you're coming up, you're resetting your shoulder blades at the top of the move, squeeze the bum. So your shoulder blades on the way down stay put. They shouldn't be rounding out, nor should your lower back round out. So we're going to go over this again together. So I have my broom handle, shoulder blades are back and down. I'm going to come down, I've got my core braced, cough if you have to, it's a little trick I use. You're going to come down, arms are close to the legs, your neck is in line with the spine, you're going to feel that pull in through the hamstrings and the glutes, and you're going to come up, squeeze the bum, reset the shoulder blades. Come back down. Come back up, reset the shoulder blades. You shouldn't go fast because that uses momentum. Going slower is always better. You recruit more muscles that way. And time under tension, your muscles will work harder. It's awesome. So remember, doing them this fast is not good. Go slower. Okay, now a bent-legged deadlift is very similar. You're going to go back. You're going to come to the point where you feel, okay, I can't really get a very deep range of motion. I'm far from the floor. I'm not very flexible through my hamstrings. So now I'm going to bend my legs and I'm going to come back up, push through the floor, squeeze the bum, reset the shoulders. Come down, push through the floor, come back up, squeeze the shoulders back. So I always just say reset the shoulders in case they've rounded out. It's a good cue to have in your head so that each time you go down with those shoulders back and you come back up, hopefully they're still back, but it doesn't hurt to reset. It's a mental cue, it's a physical cue, and it keeps you on par. Now there are some other variations for deadlifts, but those are the two, the stiff-legged, Romanian stiff-legged deadlift, and then there's the bent leg deadlift. So you're going to ask what's the difference between the squat, bent-legged squat, so your traditional squat, or your deadlift. Well, the difference is when you're doing that deadlift, your arms are coming out front. You can have them beside you if you want. But in a squat, you're keeping your upper body more upright, engaging more glutes, pushing through the floor. You still engage your glutes, but you're using more quads. So coming down. So if you're doing the bent-legged deadlift, you're coming down. All these muscles in the spine are working much more because you're hinging and then you're bending and coming back up. So you'll notice a huge difference, and after you do some deadlifts, you're going to feel these muscles in your back. It should be muscular, not skeletal. If you feel your skeleton, then you're maybe not doing the right form, you've had some past injury in your back. Probably not a great exercise for you if you have compressed discs that you've had in the past and your core is not strong enough. Deadlifts are, I would say, a little bit more on the extreme side of training, and I tend to not do them with my clients until they've mastered their full squats and they have a good strong core. So if you are going to do the deadlifts and you're a beginner, I'm going to recommend using extremely light weights, putting that doweling on, and just doing that motion alone is fantastic because it's going to get you used to it. It's going to get your body prepped to add more weight. There you have it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this segment on technique on the deadlifts. Have a great day. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Bye for now.